Hello, my name is Ben.
And my name is Cheyenne.
Welcome to the Too Vague Podcast. One word, two hosts, stories, trivia, and video games. This is old hat for you, so you know what's going on.
It's so good to be back in the studio, even if it is remotely, coming to you live. Well, not live, coming to you pre-recorded from the City of Roses, specifically in my bedroom in my apartment in Southeast.
Nice to have you. It's been too long. You've got a lot of things going on, a lot of new phases of your life and whatnot. Transitional period, if you're nasty.
If you will, and I will. It has been a pretty wild year for me. A couple of pretty big life changes happening, kind of tying into our key word for the day.
According to this, the episode came out on February 11th, 2025, and that's when we did failure.
That's right, and we talked about failure points in engineering and just the general facilitation of growth that failure brings, which I thought was really a great conversation all around.
This is sure to be another.
We had our last episode, so yeah, a year ago. And immediately after that, speaking in terms of days and weeks, not moments, I was kind of going through a hard time, actually, still working really hard at the coffee shop. But also I went through some personal struggles, and I ended up writing 30,000 words of Baldur's Gate 3 fan fiction.
Oh, Jesus. You know it's bad when that happens.
I was spending 10 hours a day just writing this fan fiction. I became obsessed, and I created an OC character for the Forgotten Realms world. His name is Cassian Kelf. He's a really cool, snarky sorcerer, and he's very sexy. All the guys just fall in love with him. But in the process of creating this, what I like to call my magnum opus of fan fiction.
Is there a magnum opus of fan fiction though? Really?
There is. It is. Okay. I would consider it a masterpiece.
Your magnum opus.
Yeah. In the process of creating that and doing some self-exploration, I came out to my friends and my community as a trans man. So I was really wanting to talk about transition today, to kind of reflect on the journey, and like in tandem with that too, there was a big career piece, because around the same time I applied for the role of assistant store manager at the coffee shop, the coffee chain.
Yes.
And I got it. And so I spent the last 6 to 7 months as an assistant store manager, which is a transitional role intended to train people into leadership positions.
Mm-hmm. By leadership positions, you mean management and beyond management, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I was able to, as of a few weeks ago, actually get my promotion into role now as an actual store manager. So I've done the whole tier now. Like, I started as a barista, I became a supervisor, and then an ASM, and now a store manager. Transitional period of my life this last year, for sure. Getting promoted twice, helping others grow in their role. So it's been a lot.
Yeah, that's cool. So when is that transition to CEO happening?
Yeah, that's going to be next year if I have my planning and prioritizing straight.
And make sure you do that stock split, because I need some stock splitting going on.
Totally, whatever that is.
That's when they give you more stocks. In doing that, they bring down the price of the stock, which allows more people to buy it. But your shares double, essentially, or triple, depending on whether it's 2-for-1 or 3-for-1 split. Starbucks has had, the coffee shop has had a number of them over the years.
What things have been going on with you?
I realized earlier this month that it's been a year since Bash passed away. I've been adjusting to that, now just living with my cat Mango, who I'm trying to read into the fact that he's lonely.
You're trying to figure out a reason.
So I can buy my cat another cat, and then swear up and down that it's not for me, it's for my other cat. What else has happened? had some interesting job transition stuff. People were let go in my group, and then also I switched over to a new product recently, so that was a transitional period for me. It's still in transition, learning the new people and my team members, and so far so good. It's pretty great. When the people got let go, though, they were in management positions, and up until that, I was thinking, I've been with this job for quite some time. Maybe I would be a good manager. Maybe I should think about that. And then that happened, and I was like, nope,
not for me.
No, I'll just stick to learning new stuff. We'll see how that goes instead. But I don't know. There's a part of me that thinks I'd make a decent manager.
Speaking as a current manager of people, I think the potential is really a matter of whether or not you enjoy the work of managing other people and taking on all of the responsibilities and consequences of that.
In my experience, those types of managers, I've had a few of them, and it's not as commonplace as you would think. It takes work. You have to grow your team. You have to do all these things and build in a way that fosters further growth and so on. It's not just about setting the rules and watching them do their stuff. There's a whole bunch of other soft skill type things that are important when you manage that I think a lot of people lose sight of.
Yeah, it's not all money and glory like people imagine when they imagine being...
Wait a second. It's not all money and glory? Okay.
The glamorous career of being a retail manager. I know that people really like to overhype it and say that it's like the next finance guy, but surprisingly, a lot of work.
I mean, you were expecting that as you climb the ladder, there would be more work because it's different and you've got to get used to that. Some of the skills you have, but other ones, you definitely have to build those, right?
Absolutely. When I was doing supervising and applying to be an assistant store manager, I had an awareness gap of the amount of work, not necessarily in terms of like hours or just the general difficulty of it. And there are also aspects of training that I needed. For example, you have to learn how to read profit and loss statements. You're accountable for your store's spending and labor and overseeing inventory management, cash management, all the elements. When I was in supervising, I always imagined that I would just be inherently good as a manager because I'm a people person, very skilled with just interpersonal relationships and generally setting a good vibe. However, it turns out that there is more to management and leadership than vibes. Having a good, even working professional relationship, there's a lot of accountability built into it in your day-to-day and week-to-week. There's a lot of realizing there's no one in the room to look to for the answer because you are the one who creates the answer.
Right.
And I like to call it my monkey-cymbals moment when people turn to me and they ask me a question and I don't immediately have a good answer, or you have that flight or fight response of, oh shoot, what do I say? So I like to call that my monkey-cymbals moment because every time someone in leadership is asking me a question about my store, the work that my people are doing, sometimes it takes me a second while the cymbals are clanging together in my brain. And then I think,
monkey-cymbals. Okay,
yeah,
I gotcha.
Monkey-cymbals. You get what I'm saying?
I was thinking hear no, see no, speak no evil. That's what I was thinking, monkey-cymbals.
Well, that's another part of management is choosing choosing when you want to see no evil and speak no evil.
It's a choosing your battles balance kind of thing. But at the end of the day, you're still responsible. So you got to make those calls on the fly to the best of your ability, and you got to own them. I mean, I think that is the most important part of leadership, is owning your mistakes in addition to your successes.
Mm-hmm.
And you minimize those, but I mean, still, if there's something that can be changed going forward, you want to acknowledge it. You don't want to say so-and-so on my team. It's like, we didn't hit the mark on this. And that's my responsibility to make sure we hit those marks.
That's a big part of the transition from an hourly worker, and you maybe have oversight over other people and their activities, but when you're responsible for everyone in the store, that is a change in mindset that you need to master as quickly as possible for best results. If your team is not performing correctly, is not doing their work to standard, you can't say, I just, my keyhole is just so bad. They have a bad attitude. They don't want to do that. Because the next question is, okay, so what are you doing about that?
Right. There may be some things that are going on, personal interactions. There may be a lack of training or a lack of knowledge or a lack of experience in a particular area. It could be any number of things, and you as a manager have to ferret that out and determine what the best course of action is to take care of that as much as you can, right? As much as you can impact it.
Absolutely.
I don't envy you being the person I complain to about my half-double decaffeinated half-calf.
I welcome any feedback, because otherwise, how will we grow as a team unless you personally call my phone and tell me about your...
Oh, wow.
See, I can speak the language.
You're talking the management language.
I'm talking the talk, but you made me think of something just now when you said that. It's an anecdote from work recently when I had a customer order a beverage with, I think it was 2 shots of espresso or 4. They asked me to make it 2/3 decaf. So I explained to them
math
that I was unable. I explained to them that it was not possible for me to do a 2/3 decaf beverage when it was 4 shots. I thought that would end the matter then and there just by the simple explanation. However, it was not, because the customer then insisted that they always get it this way, which is, that's the line used by many, beloved by all customers. I always do this. That was interesting. And I don't think that there's really a clean way to eyeball 2/3 of 4 when you're a barista on bar.
Yeah.
I mean, we could pull out calculators and try to really get scientific with it, but that might be doing too much. I'm just saying.
What was the solution?
I had to insist on making it a half calf. Sadly for them, they got slightly more caffeine than they wanted, but I'm sure that all is well. People also ask occasionally for quarter pumps of syrups. And that really boggles my mind. They want us to just drip a single drop into the cup, as if that will affect the flavor of the beverage.
Do you charge for that stuff? Yeah, we do.
Yeah. we charge.
Yeah, for the 2/3. I'm sorry we didn't bring our graduated cylinder to work today, so we can't. If you bring a graduated cylinder, I will make you a 2/3 decaf.
That's perfect. I'm actually going to bring that up with corporate, that we need to standardize volume. What did you call it? What is it? A graduated
cylinder. Yeah, you need to get...
Listen, this is breaking news. We need to have one in every store so that we can truly make the moment right.
And you can even brand them. You can put the siren on there. I mean, it would look really cool next to the Pyrex logo.
Oh, yeah.
Heck, you could even get some sponsorship there. Not that you need any sponsorship because you're big.
We really need to get the brand name out there. I feel like people don't know. No one knows who this place is.
Not very recognizable.
It's really indie. It's an indie coffee chain.
I hear it's Seattle's best coffee.
I see what you did there.
Thank you. It's not, but it is. It's like the donut hole. Like if you buy a donut and you look inside, there's the hole, which is nothing. And then you've got the donut holes that you eat, which is something. So it is and it is not at the same time.
Yeah, okay.
You got the donut hole that's a thing and the donut hole that's not a thing.
It both is and is not. It's pretty paradoxical.
I think I'm thinking too much about donuts. As a newly knighted manager. Do managers get knighted? They get knighted, don't they?
There's a knighting ceremony. You have to send an outlook for it, though, and everyone has to like agree on the date. We're doing this the third week of the second quarter. You have to make sure it falls in line with like the period planning. That way, everyone can get their armor polished in time.
I've been kicking around this. I think I mentioned it on the previous show. I've got this management thing. As a newly knighted manager, or to be knighted, or whatever, as a new manager, I want to run this by you. So I've come up with this buzz term, okay? And I can explain it if it's not 100% clear. Contingency framework.
Oh, okay.
Because you got to be able to move fast. And a contingency plan is something that you have and it's written out and it doesn't account for all the things coming that could change it or you would need to adapt to it on the fly. Whereas a framework is flexible enough.
Yeah, I like the kind of subtle differentiation there.
Yeah.
Of like being able to plug factors into a framework versus having a pre-scripted plan.
Exactly. Plans would tend to be thinking about things that are edge cases and may not even happen. But if you think about it generally, how you would handle those situations, then you have sort of a jumping off point to get specific about it. Boy, this is really boring.
I don't know. I thought it was interesting. Contingency frameworks.
As a new manager, of course you would.
Okay, well, we're not going to make this the most boring show ever.
Well, I mean, if it's a challenge. Nora's probably sleeping already.
Maybe it was beige core. That was our most boring episode.
Oh my gosh. Speaking of beige core, did you see what the new fashion trend is? It's one-leg jeans.
No way.
Yes.
I'm looking it up right now. I'm looking it up immediately.
Yeah. One-leg jeans.
Why? What is that? Who did this?
Apparently it's a trending thing. And there was someone who put it on their TikTok that they got a pair of these one-leg jeans. Couple problems. First one is, why is it only the right leg?
I don't like how it's like half shorts.
Yeah.
What this really is, it's not a one-leg jean. It's half shorts, half pants.
Right. A pant.
It's pants. That's what they should just call it. I have to put on my pant now.
It's not pant shorts because, you have the pant shorts and you also have the short pants.
It's not short pants.
Right. It's not. It's neither. It's a pant short.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm getting that.
Pant short.
I mean, there was a time when I fancied myself a fashionista.
Oh, I've seen the pictures, the archive with the hair and the t-shirts.
Yeah. Don't forget the swatch and the Vans and the what they would call the penis head haircut nowadays, or I don't know. Not to get off topic. Games. What games are we playing?
Well, I have to bring attention to the...
Don't say Baldur's Gate.
I'm not going to say Baldur's Gate 3, as much as I would love to torture you with more dialogue about the same game. I always have to bring in the best news about the best dating sims and cozy games. If I was field reporting for Too Vague, that would be my specialty and expertise. Lately, I've been playing an early access farming simulator, and it is called Fields of Mistria. It is a very similar game to your Stardew Valley, which was obviously developed by Concerned Ape. But Fields of Mistria, on the other hand, is an indie title, and it was made by NPC Studio. It is a farming simulation role-playing game, but what makes it unique, the art style in it is fantastic. It's pixel art like Stardew, however, it has a much more Sailor Moon aesthetic. It's very visually pleasing, lots of pastel color palettes. And the town that you are set in, Mistria, you come to Mistria and you take over this small farm. There's a whole town full of NPCs, and they have very detailed biographies about their likes. So that's another kind of Stardew aspect, is that they all have different interests, jobs, and there's, I want to say, 12 romanceable characters.
Okay.
So that brings in the sexy dating aspect. Stardew Valley has it, but they kind of amped it up in Fields of Mistria. They really leaned in.
Huh.
You're playing on a calendar year timeline similar to Stardew, but the developers made so many unique dialogues and interactions with these characters that they have weekly events that happen Friday night at the inn. Everybody goes, and you can kind of listen in on these conversations and participate in a sort of scripted way, but they'll be having like Dungeons and Dragons sessions. It's not called Dungeons and Dragons, but the Fields of Mistria version of Dungeons and Dragons. On this part of the bar, these characters are having a reading club, and these characters are all sampling like special drinks of the week and treats. So it cycles through all these different happenings that are going on in the town, and you develop your friendships. There's also farming, of course, animal husbandry, so you can have your pigs and sheep. And if you develop a close enough bond with your farm animals, you can get clothes, treats, and custom colors for your animals. So you can have like a pink cow.
But you can't marry your cow.
Animal husbandry. All right. You're in timeout for that one. There's also 2 secret romance companions, one of which I've met in my playthrough. I want to spoil the name so bad because it's epic. But essentially, you meet because a statue that was on your farm comes to life and becomes a humanoid.
Huh.
Not a human, but a humanoid. It's not really like a robot type thing. It's more of an ancient dragon personified.
Okay.
So yeah, and then you can teach them how to love, and it's great.
Huh.
But yeah, my favorite of the romanceable NPCs is the blacksmith, of course, because he's a tsundere, which you might not know the term, but a tsundere is a character in manga that is outwardly closed off and seemingly kind of mean at first, but once you really get past their defenses, they have that soft, sweet interior. And the mining in this game is super fun. The crafting mechanic, I would say, is an improvement on Stardew, with the added aspect of accessing all of your crafting materials from any workbench anywhere. Also, the shops are always open the entire day cycle, which is something that Stardew players have always just ranted about, having Pierre's shop be closed on Wednesdays, and you have to be very mindful of the schedules of the NPCs. Well, the great news is you can barge into anyone's home at any time and forcibly buy their stock at any hour.
Make me a gauntlet. But it's 2 a.m. I need a gauntlet now.
I need it right now. You can do that.
Is there combat in this?
Yes. So the combat, like Stardew, takes place in dungeons designed to give the character forageables like precious minerals, diamonds, jewels, rubies, sapphires, and then also you've got your ores, starting with copper, which is always the lowest of the low. I'm not sure which board meeting game developers decided that copper was just going to be like the worst, but you get your copper and then iron and then silver and then gold. So you've got like graduated levels that go down. And yeah, the game is still in development. There's going to be a pretty big update happening soon.
Mm-hmm.
I think in March, where they're going to finish the romance quest lines to completion so that you'll be able to marry characters. But as of now, you can date everybody in the game simultaneously if you want, but when you choose to get married, that's like you get one choice, so you got to make the right one.
There's no bigamy or nothing. You can't marry multiples. That's too bad.
Sadly, no. You can only marry one. I've also heard really great things about Coral Island, though I haven't personally played it myself.
As far as the romance or the overall experience?
Both aspects. I've heard that the romance is really cool. Again, I haven't played yet, but that's one that's on my list because I really enjoy cozy games in moderation. Sometimes I go a bit too hard and then I can't play them for like several months. But
Right.
there's something nice about just being able to unplug and get into like a rhythm of farming and bringing your pixelated boyfriend a perfect piece of ore.
Mm.
And they're just like, oh my God, I love you. So it's great.
So when you learn about these characters you can date, do you learn about them through those gatherings? Or is there NPC interaction regularly that you can learn about them and learn whether or not you're interested? Or is it more like a Mass Effect kind of thing where you do certain quests for them or talk to them about whatever, and then that leads you down that romance path?
It's really interesting, actually. You can learn a lot about characters. You have to talk to everybody. You have to talk to all the NPCs, and some of the NPCs have specific friends. So if you talk to the best friend of the blacksmith or his brother, you can learn information about him, especially as your relationship with the romanced character increases. Other characters take notice that you're spending a lot of time with that character, and they'll give you hints and tips on the things they like. There's also a NPC, and I'm forgetting her name, so you'll have to forgive me, but she's the mother of the town leadership. And she, at a certain point in the game, starts telling you, like, she's got all the gossip. So every day you can go up to her, and she will produce 3 cards with NPCs on them. 2 of them will be liked gifts, and 1 of them will be a loved gift. And it's always random which characters it is. Over time, if you're good with it every day, you can collect the information about which items the characters like or love. So some of them, it is intuitive, like there's a florist or a gardener who lives in the south of Mistria, and she just loves flowers. So if you pick up a flower, just give it to her no matter what. She'll love it. And the blacksmith, he really likes bars of metal or perfect ores.
And the baker in the town also likes flowers.
A different type. So yeah, it's really interesting, but also it's cute because you have things like, oh, the blacksmith has a secret sweet tooth and really likes hot chocolate, and if you give him a cookie, he'll blush.
When you said I was like, what? Really likes hot chocolate. Gotcha. Not hot chicks.
Well, everyone likes a hot chick.
Like a baby chicken on a hot plate. I don't know. That'd be kind of creepy.
Your mind is transitioning to strange venues.
Yeah, let's not do that.
So it's available on Steam. Pretty inexpensive investment. I want to say it was less than $20 actual price now. It's $14. Not
my cup of tea in general. Can be. There are certain components of that I do enjoy. I enjoy the things like combat. Like remember the one that I turned you on to, which was your weapons that you could have romancing your weapons?
Boyfriend dungeon.
Yeah. The combat isn't necessarily like that though, or is it?
It has a similar isometric view, but you're fighting creatures or monsters that develop in complexity, but also stay the same as you descend deeper into the mines. So what starts out as a rock creature that spits a rock at you, the next level down, it's all encrusted and it has new special moves. So you have to learn how to utilize your weapons and also jump, or like they have like a special move where you like jump and slam your sword down, but you kind of have to learn the strategies on how to defeat the enemies as they get more complex and more difficult.
Those skills develop as you continue? I mean, like as far as your different fighting skills, or are they pretty much static and based on whatever weapon you have or whatever?
You have a sword, and you also have a pool of mana, so you have magic powers that you can learn as you explore the game and increase your level of the town.
Gotcha.
So you can like breathe fire or like summon rainstorms. It's pretty neat.
That sounds interesting. Very cool. What games have I been playing, you may ask? HAMSTERMIND, developed and published by Righteous Tree. You play as a hamster, the hamster equivalent of Indiana Jones, who's got to go through these mazes. The general gist of the game, a lot of rotating grids to navigate a maze inside that grid, and there are different ways that they make it more and more complex for you to solve those mazes. Then there are things where you rotate a grid again to make cubes fall into certain slots There's another sequence of puzzles that I run into where you have to figure out how different pieces will send this scarab in various directions, and you've got to cross through certain targets before you can unlock the secret areas. So those are the primary puzzles that I've played. I played through the first probably about 15 or so levels that were available.
Yes, I just watched the trailer and I just realized, I know I'm late to the game, but HAMSTERMIND is just a play on mastermind. That's funny, which lends itself to the puzzle solving aspect. The art style is really cool. It reminds me a lot of, like, for some reason, Crash Bandicoot, like one of the enemies or guys that popped up. But yeah, I like the little 2D character profiles that seem to pop up, and that looks like you play as like a 3D character sometimes. Is that what I'm seeing?
The whole thing is generally a top-down. Most of the puzzles, yeah, it does have some 3D one-point perspective-ish things on the play field where you're walking around, but it's not 100% 3D. It feels more like a 2.5.
The gameplay loop, do the puzzles increase in how challenging they are from start to end? Do you get any sort of upgrades as you're completing the puzzles, or is it mostly like progression for the sake of progression?
At this point, it seems like it's mostly progression for the sake of progression. The things that you learn or things that you unlock are pieces that will help you solve other puzzles later on. There's like this glyph puzzle thing where you have to combine or place certain glyphs on a 3x3 grid, but you have to do it in a very specific way and with a certain number of weights. I haven't quite gotten to that point yet of the game. In general, this is the kind of game that I would have enjoyed as a kid on my Game Boy. It's like that kind of puzzle game. You got a puzzle after puzzle after puzzle after puzzle. There's a little bit of variety to keep it interesting. However, the problem comes in when you get stuck. There is no hint system. They put these little drawings on walls that are supposed to tell you something as far as progression is concerned. But I've done all the puzzles I can, the cubes and the rotating and all that stuff. Can't figure out what to do next. Even with those drawings, still got to try and figure that out if I'm going to continue to play it. But I think this could have had a better hint system. It just doesn't. It's a smaller studio, so I can understand that. But the other problem with that, it's got over 100 puzzles. But like any other puzzle, once you've solved the puzzle, you have it memorized, right? So it's not like it's not challenging from that point forward. So it doesn't have a lot of replayability to it. So those are the two things. Not that many of those games do have a lot of replayability, but there's a way to make those that way. But this is not procedurally generated. All the puzzles are the same sequentially. It's a fun little game if you like puzzles or a puzzle book or something, or do Sudoku. Those are my thoughts on it. Did it seem appealing to you at all?
I mean, I'm a puzzle game enjoyer. I was just going to ask if you ever played the game Catherine.
Oh gosh, yeah. I love Catherine. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, that's a great game. The whole 3D puzzle solving, building stairs while you fall down the path of this succubus who's wrapping you around her finger, creating chaos in your life. So that is what by far one of my favorite puzzle games. But in general, I'm the type of person that HAMSTERMIND would be something that I would definitely try for the right price point.
Let me look up what the price is, because I did get a review copy.
Because you're a member of the media.
Quote unquote, yeah. Air quotes right there.
I say capitalize.
Okay, right now it is 25% off, and it is $9.74. It's normally $13. It is 100% playable on the Steam Deck. So let us transition into the word this week. That was kind of obvious, wasn't it?
That's a long-winded, yes, a long-winded segue.
Let us talk about the word transition. We're going to use the Google's Oxford languages.
Oxford.
Got a noun and a verb. Noun is the process or a period of changing from one state or condition to another. The second part of the definition for the noun, the process by which a transgender person permanently adapts the outward or physical characteristics that match their gender identity, as opposed to those associated with the sex registered for them at birth. The process may or may not involve measures such as hormone therapy and gender reassignment surgery.
We love to see it. A representative Oxford.
Do you think that is a sufficient definition, in your opinion, as someone who is?
As a trans person?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the other definition as well captures the literal definition of transition, going from one phase to the next. But if that is phrased in a good, articulate way, as far as the transgender transition, I would say yes, because I like to, and it's very intentional. It may include processes such as hormone therapy or, gender reassignment, because not every trans person wants to transition medically. They don't necessarily want to change their body or every aspect of their body or their voice. Like, a trans person can use any pronouns they like. It doesn't have to be the pronouns of the gender that they identify as, or whatever you want to call it. Any gender, any pronouns, any body is a valid trans body, essentially. So I like the inclusive language there. For me, like, hormone therapy has been a part of my transition, which is really gratifying. I don't know if my voice sounds different to you, but I've certainly gotten a lot of comments from friends and family about my voice getting deeper. I've got 2 chin hairs now, so we're working on the beard. And yeah, like, it's really fascinating having a lived experience of changing my body through hormone therapy. They give you a lot of insights when you're going to the doctor to begin the process of it all. Like, they foreshadow all of the outcomes and potential side effects that you're going to be experiencing, because every person is different.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a lot different in theory than it is in actual lived experience, just for me, because I could always imagine what it would be like. But now I like to say I'm juiced up. I've got the boy juice.
Ew.
And it changes. It sounds gross, but I think my patterns of thinking and action have changed. The way that I process certain things is a little different than it was before. Not to say it's a huge difference, but it affects your brain chemistry as well as your body chemistry, for sure.
The only part of this definition that I question, or maybe, I don't know if a question is the right word, a transgender person permanently adopts the outward physical characteristics. The permanence piece, I don't think you need that, because as a whole, your gender identity is going to be fluid. So that doesn't necessarily mean permanent. Or am I nitpicking a little too much on that?
Maybe a little. I would push back a little on the idea that everybody's gender feels fluid, because I think that for me, my gender feels fixed.
Okay.
But that's not everyone's experience. I think, it's not in every case permanently changing your outward physical characteristics. You're correct to state that that is not a every case definition, for sure, because plenty of trans folks have a more fluid gender identity, and there's also people who detransition sometimes. That does happen occasionally, where an individual is interested in transitioning and using medical transition, and then they maybe change their mind later on and might do other things instead. But, obviously there's some medical transitions and procedures that do have permanent effects on the body that can't be reversed.
Yeah. Hormone replacement therapy is not necessarily a transgender thing alone. It happens for some folks who have the same sex and gender identity.
Cisgendered people.
Yes, that's the one I was looking for.
That's an aspect of HRT and gender affirming surgery. I'm glad you brought that up too. A lot of people, when they think of gender affirming medical care, they just assume that it's a discussion about transgender people. But the truth is, yeah, like you said, it is something that cisgender people that they do all the time get gender affirming surgery. Like people who suffer from breast cancer get procedures done to, help them feel better. Or, like maybe people who struggle with their testosterone levels, their hair growth, that sort of thing. It's a much broader discussion than online dialogues or just like super heightened media dialogues focus in on.
I think it's been politicized to a point where you've got it misdefined. Gender affirming does not refer, as you say, to the transgender. It could potentially apply to anyone, and it is being all lumped together without context because there's a politicization. The next definition is in music, a momentary modulation from one key to another. The next definition is physics, a change of an atom, nucleus, electron, etc., from one quantum state to another with emission or absorption of radiation.
Whoa, do you know anything about the physics definition, like what that actually is referring to? Are we talking water becoming ice, or are we talking
no.
something? No, this is much more sciencey than that.
Yeah, this is more like particle physics kind of stuff with the different quarks that make up your base components of an atom.
That's right. They have like up quarks.
Yep, down quarks, truth, beauty, justice, all sorts of weird. It's not truth, beauty, and justice, but yeah, exactly. They got charm. They've got all these different things. And the furthest I went with particle physics was I went and I saw Fermilab, which was in Illinois, on a date once, which didn't really. I mean, it was a good date.
Okay, we gotta back up here. What did you go see?
Fermilab. If you look up Fermilab, you'll see. Yeah, it's in Illinois. It's a particle accelerator. It used to be the largest particle accelerator, and then I think George W. put all the funding in Texas to have them build a new, larger particle accelerator.
Oh, so you took someone on a date on like a public tour?
Yeah, we went on a tour there.
That's actually a really good idea.
Yeah, it was a cool date, even though I was dumb because I was in my 20s. And here's the breakdown. So this woman was older than I was by about 10 years or so. She had a son of about, 7 or 8. That didn't really bother me. She was a smart woman going back to school, going through physics stuff, going to different scientific courses. We were in a lot of classes together. I thought she was very interesting. So she was interested in going to Fermilab. We went there after we went on the tour and had a good time and all that stuff. She said, "So do you date?" And I said, "No, I'm focused on school right now."
Oh my God.
So I don't, yeah. Which was the truth, but if you're interested, that's not what you say. You know what I mean?
So you would have kept dating this person, maybe. Yeah.
But that's not the funny part. The funny part is that she started dating a guy who looked just like me.
Ben,
yeah.
Did you want to keep seeing her? Like, theoretically. I know this was years ago.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was interested in her.
I'm just curious.
Yeah.
I'm curious. You were maybe answering the question very literally. Do you think that was your social faux pas there of like, do I date? No, not currently.
I mean, that's the thing. It's like, yeah, I'm focused on my school right now, and so I don't date. That doesn't mean, will I not date you? That just means, do I date, right?
Yeah, I wish, that social dynamics were broken down into discrete logic like that, but Unfortunately.
Yeah, it's not the way it works. Yeah, and see, that's not something I understood at that point in time. Sending signals? What the hell does that mean? I don't understand. Picking up signals or sending out signals or whatever. I just understand more literal sort of things.
I think your transmission or your receiver was closed a little bit there. You were not receiving the signals
I was definitely not receiving the signals, and I was sending out
or the singles.
the wrong signals.
You received no singles.
I never do.
Yeah.
Because I don't understand what anyone can see in me. Anyway, let's not get into that. Okay, so close out the physics.
Okay, so particle physics, Fermilab, good dates that end bad. And the next definition.
Next definition is we'll go into the verbs after the physics definition there, which is probably just going to be a rehash of the nouns. The verb undergo or cause to undergo a process or period of transition. And then the second verb is to adopt permanently the outward. Okay, so these are just verbifications of the nouns. Sometimes they have unique ones, other times they don't. So the origin of transition from late Middle English in the sense grammatic transitivity, from Latin transitio, from transire, go across. So makes sense. Middle English from Latin, essentially. Do you have the definition on your screen from the Googles?
The Google definition?
Yeah, because if you have it on the Googles, if you click on the bottom with show more, there's the Google Ngram viewer, which I like to look at just because I used to be genuinely interested in it, but now I just like coming up with theories.
Yeah, it's crazy. Why did transition? It looks here, this graph, you've got like a very low usage. I mean, could be lower, I guess. I don't have a scope of like the data point that they're taking, but it seems to really like pick up and peak. So it's starting in like the 1940s. There's a steady increase and then like just keeps climbing. And I'm like trying to get more insight on what these numbers mean here on the side.
I think that scale on the left-hand side is percentage usage in print with all the other words.
Oh.
This is just how it trends the usage of whatever the word is. The other thing too is none of these, they've got the different appearances and capitalizations and all this stuff, right?
Right.
But it doesn't go into the context. It just shows you how many times that word has appeared in print compared to.
And we're on an upswing right now, it looks like.
Oh, yeah. We just got a little flippy upswing as of, what is the last date it has? 2019. But it peaked before it started going down in around 96, 97. So, do you have any theories?
So in the 90s, or like the 60s through the 90s, we're transitioning into, well, that wouldn't make sense because it starts declining before the new century. But my thought is like everyone's getting really hyped up about the future, hover cars and robots and holograms.
All sorts of cool stuff that technology brings.
Yeah, also like coming out of wartime here in the 40s.
Yeah.
Then you have like the 50s, the economic 60s boom. That's just all generally what I'm thinking. Like we're moving, technology is happening, technology is changing the world. We're transitioning to a new American lifestyle. And then 95 happens and so why there? Like, why does it suddenly stop appearing in print or like falls off? It looks like pretty quickly. We're not talking about it anymore. What do you think?
I think it has to do with social media.
Social media? Wait, so like MySpace?
Yeah, like MySpace. People were using that. I don't know. Maybe we were looking more online for things. Maybe that was the transition. So we were transitioning from usage in print to being online, and this is just a books thing.
That's true. If it's only capturing info from books.
It's possible it was used less in books as we were getting more and more involved in using online sources. But I don't know.
When was Google born? 90?
I think it was around 96, 97. I mean, they became the big engine around that. I thought you were going to ask me about Ask Jeeves.
I almost did. When did Ask Jeeves was very short-lived. I don't even remember that from when I was a kid.
I think it was 94, 95. Ask Jeeves was. Google founded in 98.
Oh, okay. Later than I thought. But there was search engines before that.
Yeah. You got, well, Ask Jeeves. But I just think it's funny. It's like I only use Ask Jeeves. But that was like one of the weirdest names. There's like Excite. But anyway, we can go on the history of browsers. But I recall when computers started becoming more and more common in households, it was around the 90s. It was like Windows 95, going away from DOS. More people can use it. And that is kind of a transition of itself. Computers were starting to become more and more common because of the graphic user interface.
Because I have to admit, I was a baby during that time period where computers were, becoming more popularized and used. Was there a big scare around it the way we see sometimes with, I would say, technology in general? There's always resistance, but was there any worry about the social decay of humanity around increased use of computers?
I think so, but I don't think I was exposed to all of it because the way we got our information was different. You could look stuff up online, communicate with people online, but it wasn't anywhere near as developed over the last 15 years. So it was still more of an analog universe. Go to the library. You could look up stuff online, but you were still better served looking it up in a book or whatever. I think there was more promise back in those days than there was concern as far as the possibilities. People started using computers who never used computers before, and that was all. Apple had the right idea with the graphic user interface.
The GUI.
Kind of like that boy juice you were talking about.
No, that's really interesting. I mean, there was also, of course, I've heard people were scared that the year 2000 would cause massive failure of computer systems.
I worked at a place that had that concern, the year 2K stuff. Our software was up to the task, but it wasn't everyone's software. We were concerned about Microsoft because that was the big thing. And then your software had to be compliant. When I started working in computers was around 96, 97, doing software support. So I was a part of that whole Y2K concern, one of the bigger oversights. But that could be an indicator that they didn't think that transition from business usage or strictly your nerdy folks to a more broad audience was going to continue, maybe. You would think with business products, though, that they would want to be 100% sure that they could be used as long as possible.
Right, having the ability to anticipate the future change or the failure cases, as it were. It's pretty important for big name companies and brands to have that security and foresight.
But imagine how worse it would be if we had social media back then. The panic. There was enough panic, but it was only computer users, and there were a lot less computer users than there are social media users. So
yeah, that's definitely an aspect of social media that it gives one panic fatigue, to have to constantly bear witness to the new thing to be worried about every single day. It makes it hard, at least for me, to have a sense of impact and anxiety over daily events that happen because you're just exposed to the white noise of it at all times.
We can navigate it the best way that we can and have the impact that we can, and that's about it. My question as it relates to transition, what is the next wave of communication after social media? Are we going to go back to something that's a little more analog? Are we going to go back to something that's more human? What are your thoughts?
That's a good question. What comes next after this point? I would have to try to imagine what's not working currently that needs to be improved upon. It's really hard to solve for that in a way because it depends completely on what kind of communication we're thinking of, right? Connecting with other people online we've kind of hit a pinnacle of constant access at all times. And there's all sorts of different ways that we do that, right? Like a lot of people like to post pictures. You know, you also have online forums, any form of communication using apps like Snapchat, or there's dating apps. There's all sorts of accessibility. And barring telepathy, there's no more instantaneous communication format.
Social media. It's not conducive to relationship building at all, because that is a matter of sustained getting to know.
For example, I started using dating apps recently. I went through a breakup.
Another transition.
Yeah, that's another transition I failed to mention, but I transitioned to being a single person, a single man.
Welcome to the club.
It's good to be back.
Hopefully it doesn't last for 20 some odd years like it has for me, but I'm okay with it.
I don't know. I feel like I'm basically not going to get back into romance ever again.
Is that based on your online experience with dating? Or
No, that was based on my lived experience dating a human being. So I started going on these dating apps because, you know, like the testosterone affects more than just the amount of body hair that I have. You know, it changes physical things and drives. So I was on dating apps and I'm trying to play the field, just kind of, that's the wrong word. I'm not, play the field is incorrect. I was just trying to get to know people, put myself out there a little bit, kind of test the waters. That's the one I wanted to say, test the waters, not play the field.
Okay.
I'm talking to people and I'm noticing like the profiles that people set up on this site. Of course, when you go to set up a profile, they have AI that evaluate the information that you post about yourself and your profile. So I'm setting up my initial account and it's like, oh, well, you should really lean in here and give more insight about your hobby or what you said here. And like, here's how to build out your profile, you know, have a variety of different pictures, maybe with friends or doing activities that you love. So I build out my profile and I'm thinking it looks really good. It's very insightful and in-depth about my interests and what I'm looking for in a relationship, which is to say just casual connections. I'm starting to swipe now and read people's profiles, and I immediately learn that all of that AI generated insight is not how people actually interact with these apps at all.
No.
Because everyone is just engineering their profile to showcase some aspect of themselves that they think will help them be picked out of a group. Everything is very on the nose. So I immediately had to go back and change my profile. So instead of saying like, oh, I'm obsessed with video games and role play and all that sort of things, I just said, oh, well, I'm crazy about bad boys. And that honestly gets me more clicks and more interactions than anything else on my profile that's a little bit more genuine and authentic. Just that little blurb. So all the conversations that I have with people, it's really hard to get to know because you're filtering through so many different individuals, starting so many conversations that you just get buried in like a little bit of mundanity and everything kind of comes across the same. Like it's hard to form a connection with people when you don't have a lot of insight into their character. And there's just something for me where there's like chemistry removed because it's the same algorithm every time of saying hi and introducing yourself and then trying to latch onto something there to drive a deeper conversation or insight. I feel like that was a really long-winded tangent, but essentially I'm agreeing with you in saying that I think that social media actually makes it much harder to connect. So like the next thing would be, how do we move towards something more authentic, like a better way to connect? Because we can't undigitalize, de-digitalize, however you want to call that, the world.
Yeah. I have heard from Gen Z folks that the dating apps, they're not liking it, probably for similar reasons to what you saw, where there's not a lot of authenticity there. To be completely honest, you can have people who are inauthentic while they're actually physically on a date, but I think there's a lot less of a chance that that happens if you've got the skills, and that only happens when you actually interact socially with people in front of them instead of sitting behind your screen or being antisocial for whatever reason. These things you learn. You just need to meet people. It sounds daunting, but meet or talk to them. I prefer in person. Says the guy who doesn't date people.
But you do make friends with people and you meet new individuals. And I think that you're articulating something that's really important and relevant right now. The connection and social capability aspect of kids who are growing up behind screens. I guess you could say their parents were sort of outsourcing the social aspect to screens and online activities. It's not necessarily fair to like judge all parents of those kids to say like, oh, well, they created a massive generational problem.
It was television before that. Sit your kid in front of the television, right? So I get it.
There's plenty of Gen Zs that I'm sure have great social skills in some respects, but there is a pattern. There's a big struggle with just like interacting with people. I mean, I am a manager now, so I have teenagers and young 20 people who like work for the coffee shop because that's the sort of age range and group that is looking for that kind of job. And just the element of speaking to customers or speaking to people seems really rough. There's just kind of a gap of being friendly and driving like conversations. If I'm meeting people for a date or for friendship, or if I'm talking to a stranger at work in the setting of like they're a customer, how do you drive connection? Well, you are curious. You ask questions, and even if it's, even if you feel shy, you just try to engage. And it's kind of a healthy feedback loop, even if it's awkward or if things don't go smoothly, you still take away from the conversation and you learn and you become a better communicator from that.
It's all about practice. And if you frame it in that sense and say, you may be feeling uncomfortable about this, and this is understandable. Like anything else in the job, you're going to get more familiar with making beverages by doing it. Just take that first step and just try it. You're going to make mistakes like you make mistakes with other things, and that's okay, just as long as you learn from them. And as long as one of your mistakes isn't telling them to F off, you're good. Courtesy.
And friendliness. If I'm observing somebody who's having a customer interaction, but they're not. Say somebody's a customer in a car at a drive-through window and they're waiting for us to hand them their drink, and I observe this employee just staring at the baristas who are making the drinks and waiting for that process to end instead of leaning over and having a conversation. So my favorite thing to do is walk over to them and say hi. And that's how they know it's their cue that I expect them to engage in conversation and start a conversation.
Staring at your baristas is not going to make them go faster making the beverage. What will make the situation go faster, not only for you, but for the customer, is by engaging. That is a good use of both your times.
Unless it's a case of a Gen Z customer and a Gen Z employee, in which case that will be the quietest, no eye contact conversation you can imagine. So.
Well, the only way we're going to change that is by actually doing something about it.
Are we being mean as members of older generations?
I don't think we are, because we're observing and we're trying to correct. And it's not even trying to correct. I think you're trying to get more comfortable, being more open. I understand where you're at, but it's to your benefit to make human connections. Even if you prefer to do it electronically, you're still going to have those interactions with people on a day-to-day basis. The more you shy away from that, you're going to be less and less comfortable with it. I ask people their generation, it's just a curiosity thing to me, and I try not to internalize it and say all gen this is that and all gen this is that. But it's interesting to see the trends, and then I just try to treat everyone as individuals anyway.
That's true. In the day-to-day, for sure. I have to wonder, too, if it is a sign of a cultural transition away from the general expectation of being polite and social with each other, moving towards a more isolated culture between people. Like, do you ever worry about that or like consider that? Or do you think it's a matter of time before people develop better social skills because they have to in the process of living their lives?
It's not anything to worry about, because if I worry about it, I'm not really doing anything. And that's never good for someone who has anxiety and depression. If I think about it, I engage in conversations with people who are of whatever age. There's a little girl who comes into Starbucks with her dad all the time, and they ride a motorcycle, and she mentioned my scooter. And it's like I engage with her, talking with her, because she is open to communicating. And that is the younger generation.
That's true.
I try and exemplify, you kind of live the way that I think would be beneficial in the future.
True. Just engaging. To your point, I actually encounter a lot of parents who will have their children order their own drinks or treats or whatever, like,
Yeah.
and the point is they make a point of having their like young children feel comfortable speaking and communicating. I remember being in my teens, probably my early teens, and feeling social anxiety around just talking to strangers in establishments that I was buying something at. I hated having to flag someone down or assert myself. There's an instinct that we might have that we don't want to be perceived because it's embarrassing, people can see you. But, you get older, you get more practice, and, you realize like, oh, well, I need this, so I'm just going to like ask and do what's right. And like the older you get and the more experience you get, that extends to more uncomfortable situations. Being the guy who's willing to ask for something to be remade because it wasn't correct. And like you don't do that social anxiety dance of, well, I don't want to be rude. I don't want to be the one to say this. Sometimes you have to be that guy. It's a great skill to learn to disagree with people as well. Not in like an argumentative way, but just disagreeing in general.
Look at the body language or the thing that you use to determine the other person's mood and posture and whatever, and respond in a way that's going to be most receptive in that situation. It's a skill that you can learn, but you've got to practice, I think. So can I say what I think?
The first thing you think of? Yeah, go for it. What do you think of?
This is very weird, but I think of college English. When I think of transition.
Do you think of PowerPoint?
No, I'm not going to do a PowerPoint. I think of transition words and phrases because I use them a lot. So things like however, therefore, for example, consequently, those types of things where you connect two sentences with a semicolon and then whatever the word is. I use however a lot.
I was just going to say that's prime semicolon territory right there.
Exactly. That's generally how they're used. Relationships in sentences. Around the same time I was screwing up my love life, I had a teacher who taught a writing class and how to write effectively at a college level. And one of the things that she gave us was like kind of a cheat sheet, was this list of different transitional words and phrases that we could use to mix things up. That is one of the things that carried through my writing and my communication style, using those transitional phrases.
It's a very rare skill to be able to use a semicolon properly.
Is it?
A lot of people find it daunting.
Huh.
Once I looked it up and researched it, I felt pretty solid for the rest of my life. But I think it's one of those punctuations that really confuses people.
I think of it as if there are two sentences that are related to each other in some way, you don't necessarily need a transitional phrase or transition word to connect them, but they need to actually be related somehow. And that's the only reason you would use a semicolon. And I think some people just use it to connect two sentences together. But yeah, the understanding of the semicolon. The semicolon is my favorite part of the colon.
One of the other things that pops into my head, and the reason why I brought up PowerPoint, was just the fun transitions. When you were younger, I'm sure you must have done this. I would, on my own time, not even at school, create PowerPoints just so I could do cool transitions. You know, you got the one where like the picture jumps out from behind, or you got the fun like crossfade, and then layering those artistically. That's a real skill right there. It's like being a master of transitions on PowerPoint. Like you're going to create the coolest presentation for the class. We're actually going to be doing a PowerPoint night, my friends and I, soon, where everyone creates a PowerPoint presentation.
You're gonna have a PowerPoint party?
A PowerPoint party? You've never heard of a PowerPoint party?
No,
It's
haven't.
a real thing. I'm not messing with you at all, but it's a real activity where like friends get together, everyone creates a presentation based on any topic they want. You know, I'm sure some people do themes, but the ones I've been to, it's like you create a presentation on any subject of your choosing.
Is it like a Toastmasters thing?
What's Toastmaster?
It's a club that you learn about how to give speeches and do presentations and things.
Oh, no, it's nothing that constructive.
Okay. Well, it's just a party where you do it. But it sounds like it could be.
Yeah, it's just a fun party. Like, for example, I think I did a PowerPoint presentation with my friends, a full exhaustive ranking of the Dragon Age 3 characters that I would canoodle with or something like that.
How completely out of character for you.
I'm telling you.
When you said that, I thought of that. And probably the reason that I didn't mention it, transitions, I absolutely hate them in PowerPoints.
No way.
Yes, I am not a fan.
Always?
Yes, I've always
hated them.
Yeah, I think they're distracting. The thing that needs to be engaging is the talk. It's not the transition. If you need transitions to make your presentation more interesting, you don't have a good presentation. But, you know, that was just me.
Wow.
Yeah, sorry.
You're a real party pooper.
I know.
I mean, it's all about context, right?
That's true. If you were to invite me to your PowerPoint party, I would definitely utilize transitions.
I'm not going to invite a transitions hater to a PowerPoint party. Like, nobody invites that guy.
They don't, but I also don't drink. You invite non-drinkers to parties, right? I mean, why should it be any different with
transition haters? That's true.
I hate the transitions. I don't hate the people who use the transitions. I want to make that very clear.
You want to separate the behavior from the person. Yeah.
Exactly. If you use transitions, I don't think you're a worse person. I just don't like them because I think they're distracting. And you're doing that to be flashy as opposed to provide substance.
Well, yeah.
You can straddle.
I would say context is key. I mean, in academic settings, I don't think anybody over maybe ninth grade, that's when PowerPoint transitions should probably go away. If you're in high school, like, you shouldn't include one unless it's a fun type thing, because that matters too. Like, if you're doing a presentation on a subject that you research, trying to teach people about something, but you know that there's like goofy college professors out there that probably do like the boomerang transition just for fun every once in a while, at least.
Keep it spicy.
But yeah, it wouldn't be appropriate in, like, for example, a quarterly planning meeting. I would not include PowerPoint transitions, except maybe one.
Let's know your audience.
I'd probably include one in there, but my boss is also just the kind of person who would get a little bit of a kick out of it.
Yeah. I am a multifaceted person here because I will use GIFs to the cows come home in my chats at work, but I won't do a transition in a presentation. What the heck kind of message is that sending?
I don't know. That seems like a contradiction to me.
It does seem like a contradiction, and perhaps it is. Who knows?
Yeah. What about emojis?
I don't know. Emojis occasionally, but usually for comments.
Oh, like a react?
Yeah, it's more of a reaction. So, do you want to wrap it up? I think we front-loaded our video games this episode, so we'll just go with that.
We did.
What are your final thoughts on the word transition? Do you have anything super spectacular or insightful?
I can only think of that chipmunk song, "Where do we come from? Where do we go?" So, you know, it's nothing too deep. That would have been a good one for you to use as like the intro for this episode.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. If there's something more than transitions in PowerPoints that I hate, it's that song. So
Such a party pooper.
I am a negative bastard. That's me. I know what I hate.
I hope people can forgive us for the boring discussion about, what was it, contingency frameworks.
You know what my father used to say? This is my last thought. My father used to tell me when I moved to Tucson from Illinois, he told me that I was entering a new phase of my life. And this was in my early 20s, and I was just rolling my eyes like, what do you mean, new phase of your life? But now as I get older, that is a transition. That's a valid thing to say. You're entering a new phase of your life. You're kind of always in a state of entering new phases of your life. So why not acknowledge those and celebrate them?
That's good. I feel that the transitions are a good thing. Goes in line with all the other things we've captured lately. Change and failure. Forward momentum.
Yeah. Momentum is a good word. I like that word.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe that's next on the list. We'll see.
We got to pick something more exciting next time.
Like charcuterie.
Charcuterie.
Maybe coffee. Something exciting for you.
Coffee. Well, there's plenty of stuff we could dive into there.
Actually, I'm gonna do the word brew with Andrew coming up. So cross that off your list. We can't do brew.
I'm really disappointed, but I'll live.
I don't think you are disappointed. If it's one thing our friendship has helped develop in me, it's the ability to determine when you're being sarcastic. I'm still not 100%. My sarcasm meter has always been 100% on, but my sarcasm detector not so much.
Why would you want to discuss brew with the subject matter expert? That wouldn't be, that wouldn't be very cool. So
how annoying. Yeah, were you like, well, actually.
This has been great. I'm really glad to be back on the show, and I appreciate you letting me come in here and talk about my journey and the changes that I've been going through for the past year. So I appreciate the session.
Thank you so much, Cheyenne, and hopefully we can do this again sometime. Maybe we could do back-to-back shows. That's a joke.
Absolutely, back-to-back.
Yeah, remember when we did back-to-back shows and then you...
I do. I remember.
And you did not like that.
I got mad at you.
Yes, you did. Thank you so much, audience, for joining us on this week's episode of the Too Vague Podcast. My name is Ben.
And my name is Cheyenne.
And we've been your hosts. Have a wonderful night. Bye.
Bye.